Hi, Flosstube friends. Welcome back. My name's Lorraine, and you're at my channel, Shane Brick Cottage. So thank you so much for coming back to stop in my little sewing room and to say hello. It's only been about a week since we last got together, so that's kind of exciting and fun that we get to visit again. This past week has been mostly focused on life with some quilting. Definitely some quilting got done over the weekend, and some shopping. And I got to spend some time with Abby and Lilith. They came over. Abby is a novice quilter, and she's making some quilts for a charity auction where she works to help raise money. And she wanted a little help, some tricks and tips on binding. And so I helped her with that, and that was a lot of fun. And I'll insert some pictures and videos here. Lilith was a champ. You know, she's only 3, and my sewing room's very small, and she wanted to be in here with mommy and grandma, and it worked out really well. I gave her these. So I have a bunch of like 1.5 by 1.5 squares. I had no idea what I would do with them. They're just, oops, got a little hair there. Offcuts, scraps from quilting, and I gave these to her with a glue stick. The glue stick has like the colored glue where it's purple before it dries, so you can see that you've actually used it, and that was really helpful. And she knew to glue the back, and then she put it on a piece of comic book board that was a little bit sturdier than computer paper for her, and she covered the whole front, and then we flipped it over and she started on the back before she got tired of doing it. So ooh, and this one even feels like sticky, like, so I guess these are Lilith's little squares now. So that was a lot of fun. So if you have somebody little who's interested in quilting and want to help out, some glue stick and scrap fabric, that was a big hit. So so what I've worked on this week, I was able to finish the last of the blocks I needed for my bonus quilt, my rail fence quilt using Once Upon a Christmas. That was kind of like the bonus quilt that I wasn't planning on making. So I'll throw a picture in here. So you'll see on the picture, the bottom blocks are all like sad because I just have one pin on them, holding them on my makeshift design board. But the first 2 rows are, the strips are sewn, the rows are sewn together, but the blocks are sewn together to make a row, but the 2 rows are not. So if it doesn't line up in the picture, it's okay because they're not sewn together yet. So I got those done. And then I called, I don't know if I told you guys, I called the long arm store, the Bernina store, to rent time on the long arm. And they were booked completely full. And there's a waiting list for April. So I was pretty sad. So I thought I would just home quilt the Star Wonder quilt, because this is going to be my entry for the county fair. So I'm about a quarter of the way done. So I'm just doing some crosshatch quilting. So I have one side marked and about halfway done on this one side. So let me hold it up for you. Whoops, I knocked stuff on the floor. So I'm talking real old school here. I had to pin baste it, and then I marked lines with a ruler and my friction pin. Now the lines in the middle and the pins are gone over here because I've already sewn those, and then I ironed them out last night. I didn't want to leave the marks in after I needed them. I'm doing just a 1 inch. My plan is to do a 1 inch crosshatch. I got my piece backed with one of the, oh, I knocked my glasses down. that's important. I used the Fat Quarter Bundle came with some small quilt panels, like for throw pillows or something small. And so I used one of them. Can you see that? In the middle. Yeah, that turned out really nice. That's going to turn out really nice. And you can really see my quilting on the back. And it's slow going because after each and every row, I'm cutting my thread, I'm flipping it over, and I'm making sure I have 0 puckers. I do have a walking foot on my Singer, and I did change the needle to a 9014 Schmitz quilting needle, brand new needle. Cleaned the machine beforehand, so it's working like a champ. The stitches are nice. They're doing nice. I do have the stitch length set pretty long. I think I have it set on a 4-5, which is almost like a basting, but it's not. When I quilt, it is not a basting stitch. With all that fabric, see, it just looks like a normal stitch. If I set it at a regular, like 2.5 or a 2, it is like micro tiny. It doesn't feed it in very well. It kind of looks like this here. So these look better. So play around with your machine and your stitch length. If you don't like the way your stitches look, it could be just, it needs adjusted for the thickness of the fabric. And then I decided to go with Gutermann's, I think it's 22 and not 20. 20 is the white thread. And with the light coming in the window, this looks white, but it's really more of an off-white. It would have been fine either way, but I went with a little bit more creamier white thread. So that's coming along. I don't think I'm gonna work on it. I know I'm not working on it tonight. Last night I just had to tap out. I was getting tired of it. But let me show you this. So this is gonna be my quilt label. Let me pick that off. And I decided I'm gonna put the label on after I get the quilting done, so I don't want to go through it, because I drew on my label with my friction pen. I made like a little cross stitch marks for 2025. Again, very folksy, not perfect. I'm not going to use tearaway. Like I do have some tearaway fabric, and I could have made it more perfect, but I didn't want to do that. And I'm using Floss Color DMC 347, so it should be color fast. It shouldn't bleed when I wash it. And I'm going to stitch that right on the back of the quilt when I get it all done quilted. I'm really excited about that. So that was my big focus this week. Then I worked on a little bit of cross stitch. I worked on my March. Here, let me hold you up the pattern for you. March sampler by Sugar Stitches. I know I should be going back out to the edge and working on that border because it's a beast. And it's going to take a lifetime to finish, but I don't want to do it. So I finished up my little sheep, and I did the flower in front of him. I did more of like the little borders that go around. And I'm going to come back up here next is where I'm at. Start adding the flowers underneath the window on the cottage. So that's probably what I'm going to work on tonight. Maybe after I get this little section done, which probably won't be before the month's over. Next time I pull it out, though, I really need to work on some of the border going this way, because if I leave all of that, I'm not going to like myself. Just a piece of 14 count Aida that I hand dyed myself. Really like that a lot. And then as like an easy peasy palette cleanser, I don't have to think project, I pulled out this, and I'm only going to do the scale with the eggs in it. Beautiful. And there's my start. I got a ton of variegation. I have found So I like to stitch with a pretty, I knew to get variegation on my fancy floss, I needed to do 1x at a time, which is not a problem. But I always like to stitch with a shorter strand, well, maybe not that short, but maybe like that long of floss. And I wasn't getting the variegation really. But now when I do like a whole length of it, now I'm really getting the variegation showing up. So I didn't know that I needed to do that. And I'm using for this one, for the March one, I'm using the called for DMC. For this one, I'm using the called for Classic Colorworks. Very beautiful spring colors. And this is a stitching with the housewife pattern. And what's the fabric? I'm using, a piece of scrap 14 count Country Mocha, which I think this one and Beautiful Beige are probably my two favorite neutrals. Now that is all I worked on this week for cross stitching and quilting. I do have some haul, some of my regular haul and market haul, or shopping or whatever you want to call it. And then I also picked up a few books at the library. I haven't been to the library a long time. Since I'm working remote now, I don't drive past the library. So it took a little thought. I didn't have to, but I ordered online and then I went and picked up, which worked out just fine. But I picked up a book that my son was reading so I could read it as well and, you know, give us something to talk about. So I went over there for that, and it wasn't quilting books, but then the rest of the stuff I picked up was quilting. And I thought I'd share them with you in case you're interested. This one here is a really thorough resource. I mean, I didn't realize there was like all these different binding techniques. Anyway, this book is available for purchase on Amazon for maybe like 20 bucks. I might order a copy. It would be a great resource. So that's one you might be able to find at your library. This one, I don't think I marked any of the patterns, but there was two in there that I really liked. So instead of like the basic t-shirt quilt that most of us are familiar with, where you have all the t-shirts just lined up in a row, this is taking them and kind of laying the t-shirt designs in more of a traditional quilt pattern. Let me show you. Like, this is the one that's on the cover. That's really pretty. And then this one's really unique. It's using, if you had smaller motifs you wanted to cut off a quilt or out of a t-shirt, so you had your small blocks and then you had your larger blocks. That was really neat and interesting. Let me show you one more. They had hexagon ones. Here's one with hexagons. So a lot of interesting layouts. Here's another one that looks like a traditional pattern, but using large size t-shirt cutouts. So that's a nice book. This book, a little cross stitch book. I did mark one pattern in here, one page, and I'll just show it to you quickly. But I think this was in a magazine as well, because I think I already have this printed, or maybe I bought it. So that is really cute. That is called Little House on Wheels. Rub it. Probably should have showed you that. But it has a lot of cute little, sweet, dear little patterns. That would be the only one in there that I think I would be interested in stitching. And like I said, I think I already own the pattern. And then I got this book as well. And the patterns that I liked were this Patriotic Table Runner. I have a round table in the kitchen, but we have a cedar chest bench in the living room, and I think that would look really sweet on that, or even underneath the TV as a table, as a runner underneath the TV. So that was one I liked. This one, I think I have this pattern, or maybe I've marked it before in other magazines or something, like a fall leaf pattern. And then the third one I liked in this book, same idea, like a table runner, but with apples. And I thought that would be a nice, for transition from like September, late August, September, before I do the Halloween and pumpkins, fall pumpkin stuff. That might be a fun thing to mix into the decor. Doesn't look too challenging either. I say that about everything. It doesn't look too challenging. Then I start doing it. I'm like, oh, it's hard. Oh, and then isn't this ironic? This is, and I had this book before Lilith came over. So this is a quilt pattern using postage stamps, like those 1.5 by 1.5 squares. And I was looking at the pattern and I really didn't quite understand. It's no fat quarter shop pattern. Like I have to read between the lines a little bit, but here's what the layout looks like. But I didn't quite understand how they were doing the snowball. And I read over it a couple times. I would have to get a piece of scrap fabric and give it a whirl. So anyway, I thought that would be great for all those. But let's see, this says that it uses over 4,500 pieces. I don't have that many 1.5 by 1.5s. But this might be something to aspire to. So that was my quilting books. I have for my shopping is from the Fat Quarter Shop. A lot of the things were either on flash sale or on sale in some fashion. But some pieces were just market pieces that I had checked, you know, notify me. And of course they're notifying me and I'm just like, sure, why not? Throw it, add to cart. Even though I said 2025 was going to be stitched from stash, maybe I needed to be more specific. I wasn't going to have my stash grow, but it's growing. That's okay. So anyway, I got this little mini charm. And again, when these are on flash sale, they're like $3. And I'll insert the Moda photo of all the fabrics because it's hard to show you with the little packs. But it's a real soft, delicate palette. It's called Honey Bloom by 3 Sisters. This one is Dawn on the Prairie. It's also by Moda. Fancy That Design House. Kind of a, maybe like an 1830s rustic vibe going on. Speaking of rustic vibes, I'm loving watching the new season of 1923. I love that series so much. Are you guys watching it? I love watching it. Then I got a charm. And I keep saying I need to make some cross stitch bags. But I love Riley Blake's fabric and I just thought, well, sure, I'll get a Riley Blake zipper pull. So sweet. I didn't even know that the bird was sparkly. I don't think you can tell in the video, the bird's sparkly. And then look at this. Oh my goodness. Needle minder slash scissor minder. Ginormous. Also a Riley Blake product. It's 2 3/4 by 2.5. Yeah, that's like a Lori Holt one. That's pretty massive. This here, I've been waiting to open with you guys. I was so excited. This was on flash sale. And it has all these different needles inside. So this was like half price. I think I paid $11 for 38 needles. That's a good deal. And I like this. This is my preferred needle. I use DMC needles. They're easily found at Walmart and craft stores. And so I thought that I like the tin. Let's see if I can get it open. Now they have some that are gold. I don't know what's so fancy pants about those, other than they're gold. So I have some more needles, and I have a really nice box to keep them in. And so I think I'll get my other packages that are in that little red box behind my sewing machine here of DMC needles. And I'm going to keep them all in this tin. So that's nice. I'm excited to have that. I got some patterns and fabric and floss. So here's my fabric. It's some 16 count, or not 16 count, 14 count, navy, Ada, which I've used this before, I like. And with the navy theme, I have 2 new classic color works I picked up. Remember last year I was in the club, and then I canceled the club to save a couple dollars every month. But then I was like, oh, I'll just add some floss every time I order so I can keep up with it. So I'm on the M's, which just both happen to be navy this month. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The darker one's called Mermaid's Fin. The lighter one is called Morning Glory. And Morning Glory is kind of a periwinkle color. Both are stunning. And then for patterns, I received this. I don't think this was a new pattern. Let's see if it says, it's a 2024. I don't think it's new though. I'm so excited I got these. These will be a start soon, I think. I love this stuff. I got this. I believe I have the floss in my cart because I don't normally stitch with, is this Weeks Dye Works? Yes. And then it's calling for 32 count pomegranate. And I don't stitch on 32 count. So I think I have a couple different pinks in my cart, like these bright deep pinks, or maybe I'll have to dye something myself. But I love that ladybug. And the one granddaughter's called Ladybugs. I picked up this traditional quilt pattern, 9x9. Very pretty. And I picked up this cross stitch pattern. I thought that would look super cool if I do it and hang it in our camper. I have all these big dreams, don't we all? I like collecting the stuff. I love having the finished products. There's just not enough hours in the day to do it all. I mean, it's like so much fun though. So that was my crafting week in a little nutshell for you. I hope that you've had a great week. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I don't know when, maybe next week, maybe next month, I don't know. So if you are having fun and you like visiting, please hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. And one last thing I thought of, I watched somebody new this afternoon or early evening. Her name is Stitch It. Her name's Amy. Her channel is called Stitch It Pink. She had one video that came out, I think last week, that I watched today. And then thankfully, YouTube let me know that she had a second video because I subscribed. So it came up like a whip parade, and I'm not done with that one. But I was like a total stalker. I like sent her a message like, hey, I think we're going to be like great stitching friends. Like, you like 14 count Ada, I like 14 count Ada. You like this, I like that. You know, like there was like so many things, like I felt like a connection towards her. And I thought that she was a real natural behind the camera, like sharing her life and sharing her stitching, and she hasn't shared any quilting yet, but she has a wall of fabric, so I'm positive she quilts as well, and it was real great. So if you haven't had a chance, if YouTube hasn't recommended her yet to you, please go find her channel. I will double check, but I'm pretty sure if I'm wrong, I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. I'll go look when I get off of here. I'm pretty sure it's Stitch It Pink, and her name's Amy. She was from Maryland and recently moved to Tennessee, and she's living her best life. And she's a semi-empty nester. So anyway, have a great night, guys. I'll see you next time.